passes. Call our Jackson County Commission October 3rd work session to order. Have a roll call.
Mr. 1, Mr. Guffey.
Present.
Mr. 2, Mr. Gunn. Mr. 3, Mr. Miller.
Present.
Mr. 4, Mr. Ledwell.
Present.
Chairman also present.
Okay, we have a quorum present. We'll have our invocation by Mr. Porter and our pledge by Mr. Miller.
Lord God in heaven, we're blessed to continue to live in this wonderful county. We're so thankful for the beauty that we are able to enjoy that you have created. We're thankful for this time of year, God. We're thankful for the beautiful weather. We do pray for rain. We need rain. Lots of folks need rain just as bad as we do, but we pray that we'll get rain. Pray that you watch over us and guide us, direct these men as they deliberate about the matters involving this county. Help them make good decisions that will be to the benefit of all the county. Watch over us and guide us and direct us. In Christ's name.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First items of approval of the agenda. We have 6 items on the agenda. Do we have any changes before we proceed? Have a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Motion, have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. 2 seconds, Three. Had one individual sign up to speak, Mr. Gary Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Hodges, commissioners, citizens. I just want to speak briefly to you about the renovation, the planned renovation project around the square, beautification or whatever you want to call it, I guess renovation. I attended the public hearing Thursday evening at Scottsboro City Hall. I believe Mr. Hodges was there as well. And the engineers were there that had designed the project. And I want to speak to y'all. I have some concerns about it. And I'll express my concerns to the city council as well tonight. And I realized, and one of the reasons I've expressed my concerns is I realized this was a joint county-city project in financing it. And of course, I also realized that part of the money was grant money from, I believe, the Fed and possibly the state. But some of y'all had asked kind of off the wall question if all of y'all have seen the design. I don't think all of you have, and I would highly suggest if you have not seen this design, you take a closer look at it. Approximately 15 parking spots are going to be taken away if this project goes through. Also, you might give or take a couple on the parking spots. Also, traffic will be diverted on the south side. The parking spots on the south side will not face toward the courthouse, so they'll face toward the street. And the traffic flow on the south side will be diverted. It will flow, come in on Peachtree Street on the corner up here, and then exit on Peachtree Street in the corner up here. There'll be no more drive around parking around the square. I mean, drive around the square completely from, north to south, east, west. That'll be stopped because of a proposed island, park-like islands on this corner up here and this corner up here. And that's the reason traffic is diverted, not going around the square, but coming off of Peachtree Street back onto Peachtree Street. And also in the plans, and Mr. Olenese made a mention of this, and of course, those of you know him, he's an engineer, civil engineer, ex-TVA employee. We noticed there's areas in town already, if you got a long wheelbase, pickup, or even particularly a dually, it's a problem getting around some curves. Here on the square, some of these traffic islands, the planter islands, beautification islands, stick way out in the street. We asked that, multiple people asked the engineers if they would smooth those out and bring those back, but it's a problem. Another problem is, after hearing this extensive and asking questions in this so-called public hearing, you've got a lot of unnecessary expense, in my opinion. And of course, for the county and for the city, I wonder why we need like 24 planters, these huge concrete planters, which has a big cost around the square. And of course, nobody's talking about who's gonna maintain this? And that's not just the planters, it's also the shrubbery. There's already a problem with maintenance of the trees and shrubbery around the square now. You're gonna put all this new stuff in, I mean, it's gonna, if the maintenance of it's gonna continue as it is now, you're gonna kill a lot of these plants that are expensive. It's gonna be planted in here, and that's just waste. So I'm asking you, if you haven't, the bottom line is here, if you haven't seen the plan, I'd take a close look at this plan and maybe coordinate with the city on this, particularly Josh Little, the city engineer. I think there's some things that are wasteful in this plan. Maybe there could be a little bit more savings than what is originally planned out for this. I guess the intent is to do one side at a time and then complete that without stopping all traffic. In other words, if they have to stop pedestrian traffic, the movement of vehicles will continue. If they have to stop vehicle movement, then pedestrian traffic will continue. But my concern is waste on this, and particularly this business with planners and planning, and then closing off the south side of the square. And of course, there you're losing 15 parking spots approximately here as well. And of course, during court days, that's, I mean, I come into the park here to the courthouse for various reasons. You know, I sometimes have to park over out back or over here, and I don't mind it, but I mean, I kind of think 15 parking spots are important. Much more important than this citizen thinks, than diverting traffic and taking away approximately 2, 3, 4 parking spots from each corner of the square. Well, that's my 2 cents worth, and I appreciate you listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question. I know the county has contributed financially, but who ultimately will approve the plans on these plans?
Well, good question, because the contract has not been bid out yet. That's coming up, I believe, November, or possibly next month. You know, the contract has not been bid, but it's coming up. They're going to bid it out, and I think the proposal is to start in January. So as long as that contract is not bid, I would think you still got a little bit of time to make a change.
We've got, I think, we said before, we've got a copy of those documents in the office if anyone wants to see them. I think some of you looked at them already, but any questions or anything, I've met with that advisory committee a few times to discuss some of these things, but yeah, if there are any questions or anything like that, we need to bring them up before that bid is put out. And I've got some questions for you afterwards about what you've mentioned here.
Yeah, and of course, you know, I'm the coordinator for Trade Day. Anytime you take away parking spots from the Trade Day activity, it's already taking a beating as it is. And so the more parking lot spots you remove from that event, you know, you're actually damaging the event. So just another little bit more food for thought. And I appreciate y'all's attention and listening to me about this.
Okay, that's the only individual signed up. We'll move on to our discussion items, and the first is regarding Bryant Fire Department. Who had that?
Jay White had called asking about their fire truck. Payment is due, and the legislative body had promised them to pay for that vehicle, and he can't get them to do anything, so he had requested from us, and Mr. Ledwell and Mr. Miller had agreed to pay, each give $1,000 out of their fund to try to help Brian out until they can get the legislative body to do what they agreed to do.
And so we're looking at $2,000 between the two. Okay. All right. Okay, we'll place that on the next agenda, I guess, if there's no objection to it. Do you know if there's any, do they plan to go back to the legislative group and request remaining funds? Or?
Well, they're gonna have to.
I guess I'll make this point real quick. I've heard time and time again that the money from the TV and litter tax emergency fund is given to the county so that all the commissioners are aware and so that the public is aware, I just want to kind of go through what's happened over the past couple of years with this TVA and lift tax, so everybody's familiar with it, because those dollars were not given to the county. They were split up between several entities. So the easiest way I know to do that is just share what we've gotten over the past few years. So in the 15-16 year, this isn't going to go back to 14-15, but 15-16 fiscal year, from October through, I believe it's April or March, would have been through the March check.
First 6 months.
First 6 months, we received $138,000 a month was what we were getting on that TV and lift tax. When the new bill passed, we began receiving $134,000, so we had a $4,000 decrease when the new bill passed. Now, come October 1, based on, this is based on our estimates of what TVA and lift tax will drop, we will be getting $132,000, so we will be dropping another $2,000 a month come October 1 is what we anticipate. So our revenues from the first 6 months of 2015-16 to the last 6 months and then on to 2017 have decreased as a result of this TVA in lieu of bill. So I want everyone to be aware of that. The dollars were not given to Jackson County in that sense. Additionally, some of these dollars were committed for us, and those discussions have to be had to determine, what we're going to do with that. But so that again, everyone is aware, and if anybody wants this information, we've got it here. I just want folks to know that we did not see an increase as a result of this bill, so we don't have extra funds that we didn't have before that we can utilize for things like this. As much as I think all of us would love to be able to do these things and supply these organizations with the dollars they need, it's not going to come from the TVA in lieu of tax based on what's happened over the past few years. So, any questions on that? Comments? Okay. All right, next item, and again, we'll place that on the agenda next week. Next items are regarding the Red Cross agreement. This agreement submitted to us by the folks at the Red Cross. This is on the use of the building on Highway 72. They want an agreement in place. I think they're trying to get some of their things organized and books outlined, so they would like to have this agreement in place on the use of that building. Now, I know that we've discussed the possibility of moving the offices out of that building and possibly in the future getting rid of that building in order to save some dollars. So in this, there is a termination clause on page 2, early termination, item 3 there, that says either party may terminate with 90 days prior notice. I believe that'd be plenty of time if we chose we were going to do this. We could give them the 90 days to get out of the office. We can shorten that if need be. That was kind of what we discussed after going over it. So are there any questions or comments on this? And I don't think you've had an opportunity yet to review this.
I have not, no.
So if you take a look at that too and let us know next week. Any other questions or comments? Okay, if there's no objection, then we'll place that on the agenda next Monday night for meeting. Okay. Next item is the IT job description. We've had some submitted, and I need to get that copy together for you. From the budget that was presented this last week, we're prepared to move forward with this. All we need to do is open that for advertisement with the job description, so I can email that to you this week. But is there anything else, any other hesitation moving forward with this before we proceed? Then I'll have that information to you this week so that you can be prepared, and then the next week we can move forward with opening that position if everybody's ready to go. Okay. Next item, resurfacing for Public Works. Mr. Campbell.
Thank you, gentlemen. Please sign the 2 lists. Should be included in your packet or the handout. And there's a map there on the table that Jesse's unrolling now. It's broken down by district on semi-major local roads that are proposed for in-house paving. And if there's a road that's not on that list that needs paving, please check the major patch pavement repair. It could be that it didn't make the cut, and there's an identifiable section in there that we have plans on being able to do a large section repair on, or a large patch and get it by. So what I'm really looking for here is, one, your review of the roads we have listed. If you would like different roads put in there, we can get an estimate. Or if you would like pictures of these roads or any other information about the condition or how we arrived at this selection, I would like to provide that to you if you have any questions. But if we could get 1, 2, 3 priorities per district so that over the course of the winter and in the incoming months, we would have time to prep that roadway, do any kind of drainage structures needed, and then be ready to start working on some of this by springtime.
Is there a way you could email us the map?
Yes, sir.
Questions or comments on that? About how many miles approximately are we looking to be able to do next year based on what we've discussed?
If it's similar to this past budget year and the savings that we were able to consider, we're looking at in the 7 to 10 mile range per year, I think is what we had during the budget discussions.
Okay.
So this is kind of long range, and it could change as we progress in years, but, you know, kind of back to what I was talking about, if we have 1 or 2 per district identified, there's a lot of work to do before we pave typically, so that'll allow us to target in and get to doing some of that work over the course of the winter and hopefully be prepared to.
So try to prioritize about 10 miles per year for the next few years, and of course, like I said, that could change.
Right, and we have it prioritized to what we think, you know, by severity. Some of this is so close that it's a toss-up, so your input on what you would like to see is greatly appreciated. And there is in District 1, for example, 8110 is, you'll see the asterisk there. That's all the coal mine area, that reclaimed coal mine area, so if I'm not mistaken, our coal tax fund would apply to that. So it was kind of a bonus for you in the district for that. And then in District 2, 544 and 545, if you guys could kind of share credit on that. That was really close to 4, but into, and we have difficulty with the lack of lane miles in 4 and trying to spread the love there, so.
Any other questions or comments? What are we looking for? This is for next year, yeah, correct?
Well, yeah, we'll go ahead and start prepping as soon as we know.
Okay.
And then, we're in detention limitations technically right now. However, spring, we'll likely concentrate on the patching until it's too cold. And then spring, we'll look at some mainline paving.
Do we want to bring this, do you think we'll be prepared next Monday? Do you want to bring this to one more work session before we proceed?
How'd that work out with your timeline?
We're good. Take all the time you need. It's okay.
We'll bring it to the work session. Okay. So we'll place this on the next work session. I think it's the 3rd weekend of October. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Next item regarding cell phone supplement policy, in particular Matthew Department. It had been brought up some time ago about the possibility of switching from county cell phones to supplementing basically a cell phone cost on individuals, setting an amount and saying that we'll pay this much as opposed to provide you a phone annually. In the cases where it's happening, I think Mr. Manning's looked at it a little bit, and I think we'd probably save some dollars on that. And is that something that we could do feasibly? Basically say we're going to give $20 a month as opposed to giving you a cell phone to use, a county cell phone will supplement your bill $20 a month to support that cost.
I think as long as it's based upon a reasonable estimate of the cost to the county and the use, and I think so. I don't think you can just give them a blanket amount. I think you have to base it on some kind of use, projected use or prior use, some reasonable standard, and I think you'll be fine.
Okay. Which I think we would come up with an amount, we'd be saving a lot compared to what we're paying per cell phone now.
Right.
I understand.
Yeah, it would be quite a bit less. less than what we would pay just to get each one of them cell phones.
So we'd like to look at the possibility of doing this countywide. In particular, however, I think Mr. Arnold's been looking at the mapping department, the need for cell phones for a couple of reasons. One, just for the mappers and for your appraisers out there, but also about a new system that you're working with.
Yeah, the new, this new mapping system that we've entered into, or fixing to enter a contract in with Spatial Net. So our maps now, when they're out in the field, if they're at Bryan or Section or Flat Rock, somewhere it's too far really to have to come back to the courthouse and get a map. Now I can just send them that map. But currently what they're doing is they're using their own phones. And that takes a lot of data and usage, and I don't expect them to do that. So if they had a county phone, is what the plan was to start with, to get each one of them a county phone, that way I can FTP those maps to them or whatever. But my appraisers, I've got 5 appraisers, and they don't want to carry 2 phones. I mean, they just told me, they said, we don't want to carry 2 phones all the time, a county phone and so they actually suggested, why don't you just give us a little stipend or something on these phones? So every one of them agreed that, if we give them $25 a month, to use their own phone, then they would agree to be available, anytime during county work time, or if I needed an email or something, FTP on my map, they'd be happy to do that. And I checked on it, and the phones you're talking cost us at least $50 a month, at least, per appraiser. So I think that's a great deal. I mean, I think we'd be saving a lot of money.
What are our thoughts on this?
I think it's a good idea.
What kind of information would be on these phones?
What kind of
Yeah.
information?
Like, any personal information? I guess that'd be a question I'd have.
Well,
Taxpayer personal information?
no, just maps. I mean,
The same thing as I could look up.
yeah,
on
it's all
your
public.
website.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Okay.
all public information. Yeah, I understand what you're saying now. Yeah, if like I said, if they were at Bryant, I need to send them a map. Well, they can use their phone as a hotspot. And they carry tablets now, so they can use their phone as a hotspot, and I can mail it to that tablet. And have to drive back to the courthouse, which saves money too. But in my case, I need, if we're going to move forward with this, I need to do this now because of my prorated budget. I need to put it in the budget so we can collect that money when we start paying out.
My only suggestion is, if we'll do that, get some pretty good guidelines about who's gonna get the stipend and why they need it. Not everybody should get it.
Only people that
Right.
Mr. Hodges said mapping, but my mappers have no need for it. Just my
Right,
appraisers
that's
are
right.
the people that would have it.
Yeah. Yeah. you-
Well, all my appraisers have iPhones or smartphones now, so, if they didn't, they would have to have, but.
We want to look at putting the policy together to go with this, and again, to get this, I guess we could amend the budget for him and then get a policy together, correct?
you do that.
Would that be, is everybody okay with that? We could go ahead and amend the budget next week and have that in place, pending, of course, we'd have to get the policy in place, but we could work to get that changed. It sounds like what we need for something like that would be identify the type of phone that would be needed, if you're going to use yours as opposed to have a county phone, and identify the positions, like you said, that would need that. Right. Okay.
We need to specify how many public information could be.
Absolutely. Yeah, 2 reasons for that. One is you don't want to have private information on somebody's private phone. At the same time, if they leave county employment, then they take all that information with them, rather than turning the phone back in, so.
Yeah, it's really not,
If it's just public information,
yeah, and there's really not, the only thing that I have that's not public information is personal property, and there would be no reason for me to ever send nothing to a personal property appraiser out in the field. I mean, but everything they need, they pull up on the website anyways.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Then for next week, we can go ahead and put the budget amendment on the agenda, and we'll work to get a policy together and see if we can do that maybe for the next work session, Mr. Porter.
Is this gonna be countywide or just department?
I think we should needs to be countywide for those that carry a cell phone. I think we could save some dollars, but again, we need to specify really those that are already carrying a phone are the ones that most need this. They can present a case, as has been shown here, that they're going to need one for their job, whatever job's coming up, changes in the job.
Just need to keep in mind, some of them that carry on maybe at Public Works, they may not have a personal cell phone.
Right. Well, I think this would be an option for folks that we would want to leave that somewhat open if you choose to, because someone may not be able to get the type of phone that we require them to have, in which case they'd use a county phone then.
Now, one way that this come up is Tammy asked me a few years ago, she brought the cell phone bill and said, you've got these numbers here that haven't had any usage in a year or two. So I didn't know why, so I went and asked. And I said, why do you not use your county phone? They said it's just aggravation, have to carry two phones, their personal phone and their county phone, so they just were leaving them in the drawer, so I just cut them all off. I said, if you're not gonna use them, we'll just cut them off. But on the other hand, if they're out in the field and I need them, I expect them to answer it. So I really hate for them, I call them on their personal phone now, I have been for a couple of years, but I really hate that because, that's a cost to them. Especially if I start sending them maps and stuff, that's data that's gonna eat up some of their data.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we'll proceed to the next item. The final item is to enter into executive session to discuss items of possible litigation or threatened litigation.
Well, actually, pending litigation.
Pending litigation, okay.
Pending and threatened litigation. Okay.
So in order to do that, we need to entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
Motion to move into executive session.
Motion and a second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. We'll take a head into the office. Order, and we'll need the motion to enter back into regular session.
Make that
And
motion.
motion, we have a second.
Second that motion.
And our attorney to certify also that this executive session was to discuss threatened and pending litigation.
That is correct, and that is an exception to the Open Meetings Act.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to return back to our work session. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. Okay, we're back into our work session, and that concludes the items on our agenda, so we'll move on to our reports. Mr. Manning, do you have anything?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Kimball?
Yes, sir. On the table, there I placed a couple pictures of progress photos from County Road 290 project and County Road 213 Mud Creek Bridge project.
Anything else?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Porter?
I don't have anything else.
That concludes the items. Mr. Bennell, you have anything?
No, sir.
Mr. Lewis?
No, sir.
Mr. Gussie? Mr. Ledwell?
No, sir.
All right, that concludes our items. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion and a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.